Good morning, everyone. Good morning. This Tuesday morning with my, gratuitous advertising of my, remember the old Mug for Mugs campaign. Morning to you all as you're joining in. Lovely to have you as you come across Solid Ground, one of these Family First productions from all around the internet. Some of you will be on LinkedIn, some on Instagram, some are definitely on Facebook, X even. And there's another one I've forgotten, YouTube. How could I forget YouTube? Guys, welcome along. If you're new to the show, first and foremost, welcome. Secondly, know that we do Solid Ground twice a week. Twice a week. I'm actually been covering for Bob a little bit over the last week or so, but just to stress to people, there'll be no program tomorrow. Both Bob and I are going to take a break, but I'll be back on Thursday. So obviously this morning, because otherwise I wouldn't be talking to you, and Thursday. So look, welcome along. The second thing to bear in mind is you can always comment. This is a live show. This is not pre-recorded. I am sitting in Auckland speaking to you live. And so if you've got any thoughts, comments, anything you want to actually raise, if there's a question on your mind on the cultural, the political, the religious, the theological, the philosophical, hit me up. And if you are coming through the Family First Facebook page, or the Family First YouTube channel, you, like Catherine, can send me messages. And is it a tradition? We're up to the 43rd show now. Maybe it is a tradition. People will say, if they want to, good morning or where they're from. So they're from a very wet south. Michael, lovely to have you on board. You can actually check out interviews I've done with Michael on RCR. Michael, lovely to have you here. To Chris, one of our wonderful regulars, and I know I need to respond to an email, Chris, I have not forgotten. And we've got Adrian, lovely to have you on. If I'm reading this right, because it's quite small for me, I will admit that to people. I only have a very small screen by choice. Says Switzerland, which is lovely. Rosie, lovely to have you along, and you as well, Ian. Good morning, and to all of you joining in. If you're commenting, as I say, on my Facebook page or on LinkedIn, I won't see them live, but I will get to them. Michael nails it. I'm not going to spend too much time on this today, and that's not because, Michael, you asked the question, but there is a lot of weird stuff going on. In fact, I'm going to put this up because I think it's quite funny, if I might. I wasn't going to jump straight into this, but I think it's funny. And I'll give some context, but you can read that. So she's, as you know, and I don't have the video in front of me, but you'll recall, was it 2 or so weeks ago, this relatively young and new Green MP, first and foremost, was saying we should close down our prisons. There's no place for prisons, and that prisons didn't exist before the colonists got here. She hasn't done the thought experiment and asked what did happen to people who committed crimes before that. But anyway, she wants to then defund the police, which has so many ironies, people, that I am internally laughing quite a lot. Because, of course, they don't want to fund the police. One of her colleagues said people actually feel safer around gang members, which is quite, just completely off the planet. Rachel and I were just reading yesterday, or was it the day before, about a gang member who kidnapped a courier driver down the line, screwdriver to his neck, made him strip off, threatened his life. These are gang members, but the Greens think the general public, you feel safer around them. And then just to nail it, Tamitha then says, well, you know what? We should defund the police completely. We don't really need them. What a waste of time. The final one, sorry. Excuse me. Final one, of course, is the Benjamin Doyle, okay, the MP who is still in hiding. So this guy, the one who does very strange emojis, pictures with children with sexual innuendo all around them, who's hiding. Of course, the Greens, and there are their party leaders, very quickly to the victim mentality. And what is the first thing they want is police. They want the police. So yeah, the Greens want here to defund the police. They want to defund the police, but at the same time, they want the police to protect them. They just don't care about you and I and the rest of us. But this is, I think, quite funny. As I say, they want to cancel. This is, by the way, I should have said right up front, this is a joke. This is a parody. Of course, referencing back to dear old Golriz. So yes, the context to this, actually, are these billboards that went up yesterday. Again, these are parodies. These are being done or funded by the Sensible Sentencing Trust. But I find it funny at two levels. I just think they're funny in and of themselves, actually. There's another one. Where is it? Oh, yes, this one here. The whoop whoop is related to this MP attending a festival, a music festival, about a week after she said defund the police. And she did a set or played some music as a DJ in inverted commas, basically slamming the police, putting the police down, and doubling down on her position. And so I just think these ads are exceptionally clever, and to those who put them out there, I think, again, hilarious. But you know what? And it won't surprise you, the Greens are going nuts about it. They are very angry. They are very upset because, of course, they're allowed to mock and abuse people. They're also allowed to be violent. Never forget that it's the likes of Green Party members who attended the Posey Parker protest in Albert Park and attacked women. Never forget these things. But the Greens can't take a joke at their own expense. And the double irony, guys, and I won't go into too much detail, but the Greens, get this, they have a proposed law in Parliament to allow satire and parody. At the moment, there are actually quite relatively strong rules in Parliament about filming or photographing MPs and turning that into parody and satire. So, yes, you heard me right at the start. The Greens want to change that. They want it to be more open, more liberal, that actually MPs can be photographed, filmed, and then turned into silly memes, mocked, derided, whatever. Now, actually, I've got a little bit of sympathy for it. I'm a bit of a free speech advocate, as you know. And here again is the terrible irony of the Greens. They talk a big game, don't they? They talk a big game. And here we are. They are being satirised. That's all this ad does. These are in Auckland and Wellington. All it does is satirise them, but they can't handle it. They just can't handle it. And there's a word we use for this, and I can use it now because I'm out of Parliament. It's called hypocrites. And that's exactly what the Greens are. And people are seeing it. And they're seeing it too around the whole Benjamin Doyle situation. Again, he's hiding, claiming to be the victim, when in fact there may well be other victims. Again, it's all alleged, but he's hiding. So we'll see today if he turns up in Parliament. I'm still picking. You won't see hide nor hair of him. And nor will he be doing any Instagram posts with inappropriate emojis, inappropriate pictures with children, and inappropriate sexual terminology. So we'll see, shall we? But yeah, they're hypocrites. And I think a lot of New Zealanders see that, although I'm still surprised, guys, just how they hold up in the polls. But you can see from these, as I say, billboards, they must have cost some thousands to put up. That's where this further parody comes from. Again, I just think it is quite clever. So yeah, very good. Adrian, good morning again. Lovely to have you here. Lynette, it is great to have you online. Disarray's absolutely. I'm probably saying that wrong, but yes, defund the Greens. I mean, honestly, you can be all for the environment, but I personally, I don't understand how anyone votes for them. They're just absolute far left radical lunatics, trying to compete, by the way, with the Maori Party. Now, that doesn't absolve other parties, as I've said before. You know, when I was in Parliament, not me, I better be clear, but when I was in Parliament, you know, National was going through a terrible run as well. Rabbit Hole's got a couple of very good points here, including that Doyle needs to be investigated and more importantly, drinking from the solid ground mug. I'm going to make sure some of these are available at the Forum on the Family, which is coming up in August. That's obviously a while away, but if you are interested in getting one before that, hit me up and we'll come to an arrangement. Rosie's asking, here's a question, what is it? I think, yeah, that she's asking if you can or can't read there. As I said, it's all very small for me. Will the Greens make it to the next election? The short answer is yes, the party will. I think there's still a core base. I think they're still about 10% or something in the polls. Whether all of them are there is another question. I don't think Doyle's going to last. That's just my take on things. And if he doesn't last, I think the likes of Chloe Swarbuck and Marama, amongst others, have to go as well. I've said it before. Again, allegations. It's all allegations, but it doesn't look good. And if it turns out to be even partially as bad as it looks, then the likes of Chloe Swarbuck and others have actually protected him, tried to hide away. And I would, it's not legal, but I'm not a lawyer. What I'm trying to say, so it's not. Probably doesn't come with a full legal meaning, but I see them as accessories, enablers of this. And so if that's the case, again, if this is as bad as some think it could be with Benjamin Doyle, then Chloe has to also resign. Marama has to resign. In fact, anyone who's been out there defending this man needs to resign and be held to account. Now, Joy's got a question here. It looks like around the 3-day postnatal stay. I think they... So long and short, and the mums here will know better than me on all levels. At the moment, once you've birthed, they basically try to wheel you out the door as fast as possible. And my former colleague, Louise Upston, when I was in Parliament, proposed that we should make it or allow women to stay post-birth for 3 days. Oh, I'm getting all tongue-tied. For 3 days, that you can't be kicked out. And so now I think it's coming through another members' bill. Louise is now a minister, and ministers can't propose members' bills. So it's been handed over to another national MP. So the idea is still there. I think it's a good idea. Again, you as mums will know far, far better than I do those moments to recover, but also just to bond with the child. I think is incredibly important. So yes, but this is the caveat, Joy. It's in the biscuit tin. It's in the ballot or the lottery, along with all the other members' bills. So it's got to be drawn out. But if it was one of the 2 or 3 in the coming weeks that got drawn out, I think National and the coalition government, to be more precise, would carry it on. I'd be stunned if they didn't. To Amanda in the lovely Wairarapa, lovely to have you here. Michael's noting that the police he feels are already defunded. And he's mentioning around the police response. Yeah, they're incredibly stretched, is the long and the short of it. I'm not here to make excuses for them. In fact, we were on Straight Talk last night. To be fair, Michael and others, we weren't talking specifically about the police, but even in the health care system, you can wake up to 6 weeks to get to your GP. And actually, quickly speaking of that, that's from last night. It's not tonight. Straight Talk is on a Monday night. But that's 4 good-looking people and myself. We were on the panel last night, again live. We do it 8 p.m. every Monday, but I'm just showing that to you guys quickly because, of course, you can access all our content, all of Family First's shows, as like this one. You can always go onto the Family First webpage and track them down. You can always relive the highlights, guys. You can relive the highlights. Catherine's right. People will vote for this Green Party nonsense. And Paul in Ireland. Well, yeah, it is pure insanity. But by the way, I made my first trip to Ireland in February and March this year. What an incredible country. Simply Green says around, I assume, by the way, it's around the Doyle and Green situation. It's an obvious outcome. I think once questions are being asked, so that's the first challenge to media, start asking questions. And when Doyle and the Greens answer, I think we will have a fascinating time. Amanda's noting there's very little, or is there no police support in small towns? Look, this is one of the big challenges. It's one of my fears, actually. I think I talked about it in Parliament. As in speaking, I certainly talked to MPs around it. New Zealand risks actually becoming a sort of a 1 or a 2 city country. And certainly Auckland's the biggest city, lots of resources here. But if you are in those smaller towns, whoa, troublesome. I love I have a mischievous sense of humour, and I won't repeat it. This is a family show, but I love this person's handle. But yeah, defunding the police, as they say, that's what happened in New York. I think more recently too in Minnesota. That was where a big push by Democrats in the state of Minnesota, particularly in the cities, or what they call the Twin Cities of Minneapolis and St. Paul's. They defunded the police there. Huge violence, riots, rapes. It all turned to hell in a handbasket. Rabbit holes, right? Again, this is around the Greens where there's smoke, there's fire. Yeah, absolutely. And even if things around the Doyle situation are not illegal, it's still incredibly distasteful. I would suggest morally wrong, but of course things moral are a judgment. But it's fascinating how the Green leadership have moved to say and defend it. And that's why a lot of actually those in the lesbian, gay community are furious, because the Greens' defence is, sexual innuendo around children is just part of a subset of our queer culture. And a lot of those within that culture go, what? What did you just say? No, we don't speak like that. We don't use emojis like that. We don't do this with children. But somehow the Green Party thinks it's perfectly normal. Mana was right. I do get a bit repetitive. That's just me. But good feedback. Anyway, I suppose too it is sort of the big news at the time. In other news, and also I'm getting caught up in the excellent comments, and I'm beginning to lose... Oh, Amanda says that mums need to stay for at least 6 days. Yeah, that's a good point. And Gillian notes here, talking about mums in hospitals. I didn't know that, up for 2 weeks. That's amazing. Again, you as a woman will know better than I do just how much time is needed. I mean, the state, the Crown, the government can't fund all and everything, but it's such a vital part. Such a vital part. To Halafatai, I think. Thank you very much. It is good. Now, where am I? I see. Yep, okay. I am just reading the comments. So, anyway, all over the place. Now, get this. So we talked about dear old Benji. Oh, by the way, Bob is recovering. He will probably not be back on in the shows this week, which reminds me, I will be hosting, this is Thursday night from 5 o'clock, 5 p.m. Bob can't make it, as I say. He's still recovering from a nasty eye injury. And so I've got Peter Williams. We'll be talking politics, much more specific around matters political. But jumping around, actually speaking of political, I was struck by this, and I'm sorry if you can't read it. Bob actually posted this the other day. It's around the Treaty Principles Bill, and I know people here will have an array of views, those who thought the bill was great, those who think the bill was wrong, and every opinion in between. But what Bob was pointing out, and why I wanted to quickly touch on it here, is how the media reacted, because they say about 90% of submissions were opposed. And I say that because actually there's a bit of devil in the detail, in that the committee pulled together a whole lot of different groups, Green Party, ACT parties, submissions, their supporters' submissions, and said, hey, look, even though there's 20,000 of them, we're going to count them as one. But aside from that, the journalists like this one were writing, no, well, not only did the submissions overwhelmingly say that they oppose the bill, because of that, the MPs now have to oppose, and the Prime Minister must even turn up in person. Now, that's okay. You're allowed to have an opinion. But what's fascinating is our legacy media never deployed that argument when it was around abortion or around euthanasia. For example, by the way, there's been I've sat on many committees, I've chaired several. More often than not, when you're dealing with a contentious political, cultural, moral issue, you will get overwhelming numbers of submissions. And actually, the percentage of submissions doesn't actually sway MPs, I'm sorry to say. I think it's great that people submit. That's really important. It's the nature of the arguments which make more sense. The fact that, in this case, 90% of people opposed makes no difference, in my thinking. And the same as if 60% supported cannabis or 40% wanted abortion or whatever. It doesn't matter. It's not a numbers game in the select committee process. But the key point to take away here again is media's absolute on-display bias. Because, as I say, with the abortion law changes, with the euthanasia introduction, overwhelming numbers of people submitted to say, do not do this. But I don't recall, maybe you do, but I don't recall one reporter writing or doing an op-ed that suggested that the MPs therefore must vote in a certain way. So I think this is a double standard. It's hypocritical. It's very, very frustrating at one level. But that's part of why we do Solid Ground. And it's part of the reason too that at times it might feel not so much repetitive, but one of the key themes I want to keep coming back to you is just be very wary of mainstream media. And I've said it even of myself in commentary here, you need to interrogate all ideas. Just because you hear something, and now I sound quite preachy, don't I? You don't have to believe it, and certainly from mainstream media, which is a problem. Speaking of euthanasia, I thought I'd just put these out because this is what's happening around the world. The drum continues to beat to normalise euthanasia, and it does have a New Zealand connection because David Seymour and the ACT Party in particular are trying to expand euthanasia here in New Zealand. Bear in mind, these were the ones who lied, and you can say that now because they lied to Parliament saying, no, we're happy with the restrictive law that we've developed and there's no slippery slope. Well, we can call BS on that. We were calling that way back when I was fighting against it years ago and being pilloried by certainly the ACT Party, pro-death advocates and the like, saying, oh no, you're lying, Simon, you're making it up, there's no such thing as a slippery slope. Well, there is, but I often refer to it as a cliff. But this is just coming out of Canada. Canada is very much the canary in the coal mine. This is a woman with spina bifida, and this was I'd say it's a puff piece, but that's my judgment, in the BBC. She's got spina bifida. Obviously, it's not great, but she can continue to live. It's not terminal. It's not killing her right now, as a headline, her own words suggest. She could live for 30 years. But she's been authorised to suicide, effectively. Assisted dying, euthanasia, whatever you want to call it. Again, this is the slippery slope. And that's what they want here in New Zealand. Effectively, it's just death on demand. So it's pretty tragic. And Simply Green's, whoops, I've got the wrong one. So many comments coming in. The MAID program, MAID, again, isn't that, it's like the end of life choice here in New Zealand, or EOLC. And in Canada, it's MAID. It's all just very nice and soft, Orwellian in a way. MAID stands for medical assistance in dying. As I say, I just call it assisted suicide and euthanasia because, I like accuracy. Catherine's, I'm about the same, I can barely watch mainstream. I do have to watch it a little bit so I can understand what they're saying and then take a crack at them. And then I thought there was this puff piece around euthanasia. You may be aware, and I'm somewhat involved in the UK, they're fighting a terrible bill to try and introduce euthanasia. Another one, that there's just these death cultists who just will not stop. And this one's by an MP called Ledbetter. Is it Kim Ledbetter? Terrible piece of law. Even if you agree with the concept of euthanasia, and I doubt many of you do, but even if you do, the law is appalling. But this was in the BBC around the same time as the other story. Again, a man who has been suffering, to be fair. I still don't think killing himself is the way forward, but I was just struck by this article and its timing. Very much what I would describe as a puff piece. Just sort of describing, and you can see how it's been portrayed even in the image. There he is on the chair, all very calm and serene. The fact that he's dead a little while later just seems lost on the journalist. And all the smiling family, it's just wonderful and happy. We're just about to kill Dad, but hey, we're all smiling. It's all great. We're going to get the will. We're going to get the money. I just think it's quite extraordinary. And buried in the story is the doctor who's doing the terminating, saying, well, actually, I don't know how long it takes. Sometimes it can take them up to 17 plus hours to die. Again, you don't hear much of this. And to be fair on the BBC, it's good that they actually reported that. Way down on the story. And that's the other little trick with a lot of media these days. You've got to read, God, I really am preachy this morning, I apologise. But you've got to read the whole story, because actually the headlines, the first paragraphs are often more leading. Adrian's noting they have Exit in Switzerland. So that's a euthanasia lobby group against Switzerland. Again, quite concerning what's happening. I think Switzerland's had it. It's actually not been on the law, and I'm happy to be corrected on this, but my memory serves me right. It's been legal since 1940, in the 1940s, simply because it's not specifically banned in law. I think in the 90s they did pass some specific ones, but euthanasia has been part of Switzerland for a while. And I suppose the big thing, guys, is that it just becomes normalized. Maybe some people are happy with that, but it becomes just a normal way of terminating people, and that becomes a big, big problem. And bit of humour here, but yeah, that was interesting actually. In the New Zealand debate, I raised this. They do because the law forces them to. So some insurance policies won't cover suicide, but the New Zealand euthanasia laws has a clause in their law which says specifically the insurance companies must pay out, which illustrates, I would suggest to you, just how incongruous or how broken the concept is. You have to force the hand of different companies. Guys, I prattle on as normal for far too long. It's coming up to 8 o'clock. It's time for me to actually get the young one, foster child, to school, which is probably an important thing to do. Remember, we do Substacks. If you are sitting at home bored out of your brain, you can read my or Bob's Substack. Bob, I don't think, has written in recent days, but this is his most recent one, looking at trust. And I just had one drop this morning, a Substack about an hour ago, which I wrote. I wrote it last night, but I published it this morning. Not celebrating, I better add, I am not celebrating, oh, here we go. Yes, that's the one I'm looking for. There we go. I'm not celebrating Greenpeace, but I'm actually writing about the nature of charities. If you don't know, and I need to probably spend a bit more time on this, the government is greedily trying to get hold of money off charities. And so I write about that. I give you a whole series of insights of what the government's trying to do and the consequences. And I just point out, basically governments, it seems, and various media commentators have charities they like, which is like Greenpeace, who yesterday, as per this picture, occupied port facilities, and charities they don't like, such as Family First or Sanitarium. And I'm saying, actually, it's not up to governments, it's not up to the media to decide who they do and do not like as charities. So take a read, if you like, and you'll just sort of understand what's happening here. But it's a greedy grab by government for money off charities, and I think it's totally inappropriate. And you'll see too at the bottom of that Substack a link to my chat here with Associate Professor Juliet Chevalier-Watts. She's actually, by her own by her own description, an atheist who started researching charities thinking they needed to be taxed. She did her research and has come to the other conclusion. And later this week or early next week, I'm going to have another podcast interview with Sue Barker. She's probably the foremost, and I'm not overcooking this, she's probably the foremost charity law expert in New Zealand. So keep an eye out for that podcast. Jump over to substack.com, look up my name or On Point, and you'll find my Substack. When you've got time, go and check out Bob's as well. In the meantime, guys, I hope you have a wonderful day. I'll be back on Thursday. Oops, I've lost my camera. There we go. I'll be back on Thursday. So we're taking a break tomorrow, partly, as you might be able to hear, so I can protect my voice. But we'll be back on Thursday with solid ground. And then in the evening, as I say, we're going to have this. Here we go. We're going to have Peter Williams on. That'll be Thursday night or evening at 5 o'clock. So guys, in the meantime, have a wonderful day. Thank you for all your comments. And I will see you Thursday morning.